But what I want to say to you, is that in the middle of all this, MAKHWANAZI must understand, I'm not going away. And the cases that we laid are not going away. And the evidence that we have is not going away. As a matter of fact, we have more evidence. And this week we'll be laying more charges against them. I want this country to understand something. On the 6th of June, 2025, MAKHWANAZI became a hero. What was he doing in the 40 years before that? People forget this is a servant of the Vierkleur, a singer of the stem. One of those who used to tear gas people like us when we were fighting for our freedom. This is why they have no respect for democracy. This is why they have no respect for people, for humanity. I'm not done with MAKHWANAZI. I understand that he's your hero. People must understand he's got feet of clay. Watch Madlanga. I'm waiting on my invite. Watch Madlanga. You remember, before I went to the ad hoc committee, it was essentially mostly people that I would stand in solidarity with, black people that were gunning me. You're gonna see at the ad hoc. You're gonna see at the ad hoc. And then I turned the fucking ad hoc upside down and then he went quiet. Here's your second turn. Bring Madlanga. Those are the finest legal minds in the country. Bring Madlanga. Tell him Fario Adams is waiting. Tell him that out there in the Cape Flats, there exists that rare animal. That thing that does not know fear. That thing that will stare down the PKTT and say, Futsak. It exists, it actually lives. Now, just because everybody bought that con man stunt on the 6th of June last year, I want you to know some of us still think. And as deep as they scratched into Section 27 at Madlanga, and even I was thinking, what the fuck? Here's the truth. Massive crime was committed. Tens of millions were stolen. And stupid people are acting like cheerleaders. But those same stupid people complain about crime and a lack of service delivery. And then it gets worse than that. It actually gets worse than that. How many of us have seen murderers and thieves and things run away, get out of jail, have cases thrown out because of a technicality, then we moan. But when it happens at a certain commission, then you want to applaud it because it comes down to skin color, doesn't it? The fact is that it was a colored boy and a handful of Indian people, and some of them are starting to have doubts about certain people, that turned the South African police service on its head. And that's the part a lot of people can't freak, and that is a real sadness. It is a real sadness.
And them. And then I just want to say, so much has been said about General MAKHWANAZI and the allegations he made. And I find it very, very suspicious that a full minister is suspended. We can use whatever nice terms we want to. He's suspended. And the Deputy National Commissioner is suspended on the basis of an allegation. But 7 seniors, generals in SAPS, are charged and they're still at work. And General MAKHWANAZI is coming out in defense of these people. He's saying that this is an HR matter. Explain something to me, all of those who love General MAKHWANAZI so much. General Lushaba and General Kumalo, they instructed Colonel Mabaso to buy 200 million rands worth of laptops that have never been issued to SAPS. Right across the road here, organized crime is working from cell phones. They don't have laptops. How is this an HR matter? How is it that we're talking about the lie, the alleged lie that Minister Nkunu told the police portfolio regarding his relationship with Brown? But the National Commissioner could lie about the brigadier that they brought from BMW. How is this okay? Why are we targeting certain people as Parliament? We are eulogizing General MAKHWANAZI. I, as the complainant in the charges against those 7 generals, when this portfolio called me a madman before they were arrested, I, as the complainant, am connecting the dots. That staged press conference with a general who now seeks additional protection, who had what looked like an armed militia behind him, it was a threat to this country. Let us call it what it is. He was trying to incite policemen to take action in the event of whatever it is that he knew was coming. Let me tell this committee what I suspect was coming. As the accounting officer for the South African Police Services, I suspect that the National Commissioner himself is up for arrest. And that press conference was nothing more than a preemptive move. And the country appears to have fallen for it. General MAKHWANAZI must appear before this committee. The National Commissioner must appear before this committee. The IDAC must appear before this committee. General Kumalo, General Lushabo must come and sit in front of this committee. And I want to appeal and actually ask that we make it a recommendation that every member of this committee that has ever met with any law enforcement or investigative body or given them a statement or had a conversation must come clean and tell us what he said. I will be the first. I know Honorable James has had that conversation. I have a suspicion there are a few more other people that are hiding things within this committee. Now, in order to clean out the service, we must all be honest. We can't demand accountability from the boys in blue and hide things right here. I then also want to just say that we've lost many fine police officers because of corruption. I'll mention a few names. General Andre Lincoln, General Vieri, General Theo, General Langweni, and some of us here have lauded these dismissals. But what is the common thread? It's the same corrupt cabal that is now before the court in Joburg. Why are we not talking about this? This thing is much bigger than a press conference called by a Lieutenant General from KZN. The entire top management of the South African Police Services appears to be corrupt. This is the basis of what we need to do. This is what we need to start. I want to just say to Honorable Matthys that I note the complaint that you laid to the Speaker about the chairperson of the Police Committee. I would take it one step further without making a single accusation and ask of the chair, if it's not in the best interest of this committee, this joint committee, that you recuse yourself for the sitting of this process. Because, Chairperson, you did prevent me from going at these generals over the issues I've just mentioned. Even when they lied to the committee, you did not allow me to interrogate. So, not an attack on you, Chairperson. I believe that you are a good chairperson, that you're a good man. I think you were misinformed at the time. But maybe it is best that just for now you come and sit next to us and allow the rest of us to take this fight forward. Thank you.
Can I beg with the chairperson to please allow you this minute that I'm going to take from you, because I feel this one must talk about when Honorable Adams is here. The issue of that unrest that involves my child. Honorable Chair, if you will add that minute to our own member, because I'm taking this time from you.
Nice to be you, Lieutenant General, because you can even
Honorable-
put a minute.
Honorable members.
We get shut down very quickly. Okay.
Honorable Adams is here and is listening to this. What pains me is to see a leader of society and coming here and talk bad about what happened in July. And I was there on the ground. I faced the fire. That X5 I talked about earlier that I had bought in Pretoria. I drove that car alone in the car because I was isolating because General Mfazi had died and people that were General Mfazi were with us in the operation. So I had to isolate. In that isolation, I had to go and see the operations. I got into my own car. I drove through Phoenix with my handgun, hoping that someone would attack me and I was going to fight with that handgun. If I die, I die. Because I wanted to see these attacks and these murders that were happening in Phoenix with my own eyes, with no escort. I drove that night. That's a sacrifice that I made. The riot starts and the riot ends, Mr. Adams. The ministers, they come down to KZN after the riots. After the riots, they visit KZN. Why do they visit? It's because their boss, which is the President of the Republic, is coming to visit the following day to assess the damage. So when ministers arrive late at the airport and they drive and they see what is happening around and we brief them, the following day the President lands. I'm the one who's doing the briefing. The following day the President lands. That time we're busy with the mop-up operation. We are cleaning now. The dust is settled. We are cleaning. The President arrives. I'm the one that takes the President around all these sites in KZN, in Durban. Me, this one. The president is satisfied and he hears the plan of how we're going to deal with this and investigation and so forth. He gets on the aeroplane, he flies out. 2 days later, we are busy with clean-up investigation. There's no riot at all. I then get into the car. I drive with that X5 to Pretoria. And arrive in Pretoria. The following day, my wife gives birth, cesarean section. And she stays in a hospital, Mr. Adams, and she gets out the following day with the stitches in the stomach. I put her in that X5, Mr. Adams. I drive with her and that toddler, 1-year-old, for 1,000 kilometers, Mr. Adams. And I leave her with a family. I go to the aeroplane, I fly back to Durban. I'm not there with a child. I left them like, that's a sacrifice that I don't think anyone will ever make. That's what I contributed in this July unrest. To come here and make it look like I neglected the duty, I prioritized the child over the safety of the citizens. You were not there, sir. I was here. So it is that I want to address because it's a very sensitive thing to me, personally. So if I can do that and someone who's a leader of society doesn't appreciate, I take an offense on it. The facts are there. Timelines of the violence are there. We are not in the business of thumb-sucking dates. We must say the routes happened on this date, ended on this day. This day what happened, and that day what happened, and that day what happened. So when I go, it's because there's no more violence. So for him to say, I neglect the job, it's the same with the former Speaker of this Parliament, who herself said that. She was sitting, Mr. Adams, she's the one who was sitting at Oyster Box, claiming to be running operation, with operation, a mop-up operation, sitting at Oyster Box. That's the Minister of Defense who was sitting there. So when I present these things, it sounded as if I'm arrogant before the Human Rights Commission, but I was giving the facts. I was telling the minister that the soldiers don't have equipment to do the work. You're calling them to come to Cape Town. I don't know what they're using to work in Cape Town because they don't have tents to sleep on.
2, and that there are actually more. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that the evidence of subsequent witnesses to follow will deal with the detail of the other persons per category. Is that the approach adopted?
That's correct.
With that in mind, then let's turn to page 56 under politicians and specifically Parliament. Please explain the contents of your paragraph 165. You explain how you intend to deal with this issue.
On this specific paragraph, Commissioners, I want to focus my address in part to the role that is played by Mr. Fadel Adams, who is a Member of Parliament. And in briefly, I will also touch on the role played by Ms. Colin Barnett, who is a member of Democratic Alliance.
At 166, you summarize the concerns you have regarding Mr. Adams.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Can you read that into the record so we appreciate?
The main concern with Mr. Adams are mainly 2. The first one is the unauthorized access to the intelligence information and his reckless use thereof. The second one is the abuse of his...
Apologies, General. At this stage, because there are specifics about individuals who, according to the General, are implicated, I think I should place it on record and make this public announcement.
Yes, Chair.
That because of time constraints, as I understand from
Indeed.
the evidence leaders, and on my understanding, the statements having been finalized the day before the hearings, it was not practical for implicated notices to go out timeously and before the hearing, but the evidence leaders have undertaken that notices will go out. Transcripts of the evidence relevant to each implicated person will also be sent out to the implicated persons. So in that sense, the implicated persons will not be prejudiced. They will be able to have a look at the evidence that has been led, and indeed even the statements themselves will be shared with the witnesses for them to consider their positions and to address the implication insofar as it relates to each one of them as best they can. So they will be afforded a full opportunity as to how to.
I watched that press conference at home, and I said to my wife, this has got nothing to do with anything except the arrest of Khumalo. Little did I know that I'd later hear it's because the National Commissioner was at the gates of prison. That press conference was a show of force, like he says. It was a show of force to threaten all of us. Arrest my friends. You'll see what happens. There was no other reason for guns behind him. There was no other reason for the camouflage uniform. It was a threat to this house, to this democracy, and to the rule of law. That's what it was. Hence my statement, MAKHWANAZI is a constitutional delinquent and is not fit to wear the uniform.
Have you had any feedback from the IDAC on their investigations into...
Chair, Chair. Thank you, colleagues. One police general makes an allegation, commissions ad hoc committees. I'm surprised you didn't bring the FBI in here. 3,000 colored boys die every year. Nothing. But I wanted on the record today that the National Colored Congress appears to be the only party that has not fallen for General MAKHWANAZI's scam. We must ask the valid questions. Why is a fine young officer like Bonginkosi Dlamini locked up on 2 case laws that don't exist in the province that is governed, so to speak, by MAKHWANAZI? Why is the killer of Sandiso Makaka willing to speak in court, but prevented to? He claims that policemen drove him from the scene of the crime, the same province run by General MAKHWANAZI. We speak of the whistleblowers. I am the whistleblower in this case. He's a reactionary. I do not want protection because all of our citizens are vulnerable. Tonight, 10 more of our sons die on the Cape Flats. Where's the commission into this? The NCC supports this ad hoc commission, but the NCC places on the record in advance that the whole criminal cabal that runs the South African police services will fall by the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you. The PIC.